and I'm here to give you an update about DACA, the Deferred Action Childhood Arrivals Program, or you can call them Dreamers and so forth. A little bit about an update about what's going on here in the Las Vegas Valley, Clark County. And I also wanted to take this time to expose some people. And one person that I really want to expose is Astrid Silva, which basically, the way I see her, believe it or not, is very likely that she is a traitor, she is a plant, she is a tool. Not 100% guaranteed, but based on the evidence that I see, it's very likely. And so what is it that I really see about DACA? At a time when middle-class families can make it, when we're having all of this corruption in Wall Street, in corporations, when we are fighting military conflicts that in a lot of cases don't really serve a point that's very reasonable, a lot of scumbag politicians are really focusing their attention on DACA. And they're trying to push very hard. They're like fighting tooth and nail, even though there's a lot more important issues in the table. You know, because the most important issue basically is, can we put food on the table and roof over their heads? The middle class survival. But apparently, even though DACA is important, especially to people like myself, which I'll get to later on why, it is very likely that these people are nothing but shills and pumpers for DACA, simply because of the fact that they want more votes in the long run. They want extra support so that the population can rig with their districting and demographics. And of course, they want future leaders and lawyers who can pump up and carry their destructive agenda that disrupts our demographics, brings down the white percentage of population, carry their anti-white agendas, and of course create more scumbag politicians like you have in California, and a little bit less that you have here in Las Vegas, that are very destructive, very controversial. And I'll explain later on how this works. That's what this is about. So you have basically tools like Jackie Rosen, Dina Titus, Ruben Kiyuhin, and Cortez Masto, who are nothing more but basically shills of establishment. And what they want to do is they want to pump and use all these young children, whether they are citizens and their parents are here illegally, or whether they were brought here without legal status, to basically carry on their legacy, to carry on their destructive element that it's going to affect us for the next several decades. These are people who don't have a lot of our values. The vast majority of them don't. All right? Despite that they label them as, oh, they're college educated, they're dreamers, and all that stuff. That's only a tiny fraction of them. In fact, what I've heard from, according to data from Megan Barth, she points out that, believe it or not, about a majority of them don't even speak English very well. Because this is really one of the things. But what it really is, believe it or not, it's an insult to me, because my parents did it the right way, and they're getting same or similar privileges, because I was born in the United States, but if they were born, they get citizenship often. And then even if they were brought in and they're not citizens, they get similar rights to people, the children that were brought in, like my friends, many that come from Iran, that have legal status. It's just so unfair. It is just so wrong. It is just so rigged. But anyway, the largest concern that I have are these so-called young activists like Astrid Silva that are being used to pump up and in a way as a tool to sound us like we are so basically innocent. This is so on our fault, that you have to respect us, that you have to feel sympathy over us. But what they are trying to do is that you make them feel bad. They can gain more power. They are very likely to be politicians. Again, these people are nothing more but Trojan horses, believe it or not. And then when that happens, of course, what you get is the fact that, well, you get a lot of disastrous politicians and leaders that will bite you in the long run. That is essentially the plan. The plan is, of course, to basically turn Las Vegas more into Los Angeles. Again, this is why I tell you demographics matter, because we are headed to that direction of becoming more like Los Angeles, although the rate of change on the good news is slowing down. So this is one of the things why it's so important. You know, if you look at videos from Grindle61, Gary Galeno, he's in Southern California. One of the scumbag politicians he continues to battle, Kevin De Leon and Ricardo Lara. A lot of them are anchor babies or they were brought to children illegally. And this is one of my large concerns. They're going to bring in, they're going to basically fool their supporters, play identity nonsense, and then use that to raise our taxes, to harm our Constitution, and bring a lot of disastrous policies. This is why these issues are so important to me and Gary Galeno, because we're very young, and these are the people that we're going to have to deal with, possibly battle, do business with for the rest of our lives. Because many of these DACA people, they're not like 7 years old. The median age is 26. I'm 25. It's about the same age. That's why this is so important. That's why you need to spread the word, believe it or not. Now, of course, the real question is that it's not just disgusting how politicians are shilling for these people. And I believe that Steve Sisolak is actually supporting DACA, and that's why I'm concerned if he runs and becomes governor. Same thing with Chris. So the other thing I just wanted to point out is that the question is not whether they're going to stay longer. The question is about all the other impacts that they have done to this country in the last 20, 30, 40 years. Now, you have to understand that the rate of DACA recipients in Clark County is higher than the national average. And many of them have or currently are attending public schools from Clark County Unified or many of the post-secondary schooling. And the real disgusting thing is how much of our tax dollars did we spend on subsidizing their schooling? You know, when I look at the statistics from the Clark County Unified School District, about 25% of the students have a parent who is here illegally. That is wrong. They are breaking our laws. They are basically sucking our taxpayer services. By the way, a good chunk of your sales and property taxes goes to subsidize these kids. And it's very likely that they're not paying enough taxes to cover the costs. And how much did we spend for their medical care? How much did we spend for all this other nonsense? This is the thing. You have to look back. How much on infrastructure, police, public safety, government employees? The list just goes on. Think of all the damage that has been caused by all of this. Now, another thing is in the future, because one of the things you have to understand, that if these DACA folks stay, along with anchor babies, which I don't think the 14th Amendment should protect them, if they stay, they're going to reproduce and have babies like crazy. And guess what? It's going to have a lot of significant impacts on demographics, and a lot of changes to your culture and laws. And by the way, many of these people come from countries with IQ levels that are lower than Western countries. Some of them much, much lower. They have lower income levels, and because of that, it is going to have a significant impact on your test scores. One of the things I just wanted to point out is the real issue is, gosh, it's just so unbelievable. Now, then I was looking at this. Now, when I was looking at an update from Jackie Rosen, she was at a meeting with this organization called La Alianza Comunitaria Nacional. This is just a very, very controversial and very suspicious organization. These organizations could grow. If these young people stay, they're going to form a lot of dangerous organizations all across Clark County. And they're going to be out there growing in numbers. They're going to be fighting back, taking over county commission, taking over city hall. All of you out there who's running for office, Victoria Seaman, Mitch Tracy, all of you guys, they're activists like Megan Barth. You need to be watching this video right now, and you need to be spreading this word. All right? Here's another thing. Speaking of public schooling, from what I've heard, public schools in Clark County Unified School District, many of them don't even speak English. They have a lot of ELL classes for them, 40 different languages. What in the world is going on? Why are we subsidizing this piece of crap? When I came to these public schools, I didn't need this kind of assistance. I spoke English very well. I speak 3 languages, believe it or not. This is very shameful and it's very unfair. Look at these organizations. By the way, that organization, the La Alianza, Astrid Silva was at that organization. She is one of the, I believe, the largest activists for DACA dreamers in the Las Vegas area. You need to do what you can to stand up and fight against this nonsense. So, because it's very possible people like her could eventually run for public office. And they might as well become citizens. I don't know what's going to happen to the administration. Are they going to give them citizenship? Because if that happens, there's going to be a civil war. There's going to be a lot of conflicts. This country is likely to break up. I think it's probably better that if this state breaks up and Nye County and Lincoln County separates from Clark County, and I'll move up there and build my projects over there. Cooler climate. So I don't know if the administration want to give them citizenship. Maybe he's just trying to play games. Who knows? He's trying to play chess. But then again, the fact is that you have to understand these long-term impacts. Now, to those of you who are obviously DACA recipients and really want to stay in this country, and you got a good heart, I tell you something. You know what? If you want to stay in your country, which you call the United States, at least prove to me that you're worthy of staying in this country. Prove to me that you are not going to support laws that get in my way. You're not going to support policies that raise my taxes. And you are not going to actively turn this country into something else. At least prove yourself that you're worthy of staying here. But the sad reality is they're not likely going to learn. They're not likely going to wake up. And they're likely not going to change. And this is one of the things that you really, really have to understand. This is all a plan. It's a destructive plan, part of the Harry Reid global agenda. They're pumping non-whites into all these white countries. These are the real, in my opinion, real racists. They're racist against white people. They want to destroy them. They want to basically, in terms of their dominance, shrink their percentage of population. This is no accident. I don't believe for the most part these immigration policies are there to necessarily benefit the United States. They're there to replace the dominance of the people that were dominant before. That's what this is all about. Look at the casinos. It seems like some casinos, 70% of the dealers are Asian. This is not really diversity, it's replacement. And I'm going to talk about that in a future video. So this is what this is all about. The Culinary Workers Union team up all these special interests. By the way, it seems like the Culinary Workers Union is probably the largest terrorist organization in the Las Vegas area. And it is all about changing the culture. It's all about serving special interests, certain corporations that benefit from a certain labor. It is all about changing voting habits. And it's not just for being against right-wing causes, like property rights, gun rights, Constitution. Even when you look at some folks like Bernie Sanders, the states that he did very, very well were the states that had a highest percentage of white people. Because Bernie Sanders really ran on a platform of fighting Wall Street and corporatism. Minority people tend to vote for folks like Hillary Clinton, who are far more corrupt, who play identity nonsense, and are less likely to fight back against corporatism, bailouts, income inequality. Look at the Occupy Wall Street movement. From what I saw, vast majority of the people were white. So white people fight for things that the establishment don't want. And that's why they keep pumping for all this massive immigration, for all this DACA nonsense, to radically change and tear apart the United States of America. And by the way, The main concern about DACA is not the fact that they're non-white, because if you're a DACA recipient and you're from Russia, you still either have to go or something has to be done. All right? The main concern is it's unfair to me. The main concern is that your values don't represent the values of me and this country. And you guys are around my age. Now, speaking of race, if you want to stop the white percentage of population declining, if you want to prevent America and Las Vegas from looking like Los Angeles, what you need to do is you have to make sure that you increase the white birth rate and you freeze massive future immigration. We reduce the future arrivals significantly. This is one of the things that you really have to do. So, take a look at these organizations if you live in the Las Vegas area. La Alianza Comunitaria Nacional. There's all these disastrous organizations. And there's another organization like Mi Familia Vota. You have to understand that these organizations, by the way, like Culinary Workers Union, it doesn't surprise me that Soros is behind all these organizations. It doesn't surprise me that they're trying to pump in Antifa people to bring them in Las Vegas. Thank God we haven't seen a lot of Antifa thugs all across this area. But that could change. But it can turn around if you guys get out there, fight back. I'm going to be going to county commission meetings, city halls, a lot of campaign events, bringing up these issues, bringing up the truth, because if we stand up, we can save Clark County and we can save this country for good. And if not, maybe we're just going to have to split apart, and perhaps that might be a better option. And by the way, I just wanted to point this, they act like that they're so much like victims, like, oh, they're going to be thrown out of Mexico, places that they've never been. A lot of them are from Mexico, and a lot of them do visit Mexico. And let's just say, if I was in a similar situation and they had to take me and put me in Iran, I'm not going to really cry and whine. It's not like Iran is a terrible country. I have family there. I have a lot of great things that I know that exist over there. So stop it with this nonsense. And by the way, here's what I think this is really what they really want in the long run. What I think they really want probably is a lot of government assistance programs. Because that's what this is all about. This is about essentially giving them citizenship to increase their chances of actually getting government assistance, because now they're entitled to it. And by the way, when people say, oh, they're taking jobs that Americans would do, which is to a certain extent true, a lot of the jobs that they do, because they don't require a lot of skill sets, in the next several decades, they're going to be automated. And many of them, given their lower IQs and credential levels, they are not going to get training for the job that's going to be created with technology. And what are they going to want when they can't find a job? You guessed it. They're going to raise our taxes to pay for their welfare programs. That is why I am very concerned about giving them citizenship. Not only they broke their law, they're unfair, but the long-term future impacts are very disastrous. Think about that. Think about the birth rates these people are going to have and how drastically they're going to change Las Vegas and Clark County. All right, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please spread this video as much as you can. Take care, and hopefully I have enlightened you. So either they're going to have to go, or either there's going to have to be a very strict plan. All right. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.